It's an agency that's really in charge of saving the government money. First, there was news of that 2010 conference in Vegas that cost more than $800,000. Then came the videos, embarrassing videos of government workers bragging about spending taxpayer money. And then just when you think it can't get any worse, it is getting worse. Jonathan Strong is a reporter for Roll Call, and he's been investigating the scandal. Nice to see you, Jonathan. Thanks for talking with us. There are some new details emerging, and you've been obviously sort of following this, showing examples of wasteful spending. Give me some of those details.
Right, yeah. So in this latest example, we learned that at these conferences, apparently if you hold an awards ceremony, you can bill taxpayers for your dinner events. And so GSA officials began inventing superfluous awards so that they could hold dinner events at every conference they were having. And it got to be a running joke, and at one point they stopped even pretending, and they bestowed a jackass award on one employee, and this was the justification for taxpayers paying for their dinner event at one of these conferences.
Because literally you could write off the expenses for the meal. I want to play a little clip of this very thing, a GSA employee who's not named, talking with the Inspector General investigator about that jackass award. Here.
They spent nearly $500,000 already on different things from iPods to a number of different things like mouse pads. I mean, the list goes on what they're spending the money on.
I'm sorry, you know, that's the wrong clip, but in fact, this is a full screen. Let me read it to you. So the GSA employee says this: well, I just remember one year, like, someone got the Jackass Award for doing something stupid. And the inspector says the Jackass Award got everybody food, and the employee says, oh, yeah. And the guy says, well, just because it was an award? And the employee says, I mean, there was a bunch of them. There was a bunch of goofy awards. I guess what everybody finds sort of offensive or most offensive about all this, it feels like it was widespread and kind of everybody at every level was in on this. Is that what you found?
Yeah, that's what I thought the importance of this was. I mean, obviously it's funny. It's kind of a priceless that they would call it that this agency under fire for wasting taxpayer dollars would award itself a Jackass Award. But at the same time, on a more serious level, this does show a sort of that every employee was a little bit complicit in this, in the sense that they all knew that this was an abuse and everyone was in on the joke and laughing about it.
I was just playing a clip, but that was Congressman Jeff Denham, and he chairs one of the subcommittees that's looking into this. And now I'd like to go back, if you guys will, and play that clip where he talks about the internal rewards program. Listen.
They spent nearly $500,000 already on different things from iPods to a number of different things like mouse pads. I mean, the list goes on what they're spending the money on. But then they have no accountability for who these prizes go to and how they're given away. It's a reward system where employees are basically giving them to one another.
That's Congressman Jeff Denham. So clearly there's an effort to score points and attack the administration in some of this investigation. But who ultimately do you think is accountable? Is it the current administration? Is it past administrations? We talked sort of about tracking this for a while. Is it Congress, which has oversight of the GSA? Is everybody to blame? What do you think?
Well, you know, the president gets to appoint the leadership for each federal agency, and that's the reason why just historically the blame and the credit for what a federal agency does tends to come to his doorstep. At the same time, one of the things we're learning about this is that there was kind of a culture of corruption at GSA, and that this nearly $1 million Las Vegas conference with some of these colorful expenses, it wasn't the first time that some of these abuses occurred. And so it was something that it was a problem that was growing at the agency over several years.
Where do you think it ends? I mean, every day are you and I going to be talking about the next video, the next scandal, the next... we didn't get to the relocating costs of somebody for $300,000, which was insane in Hawaii. Where does it end? Or every day is it going to be a drip?
You know,
drip?
these expenses are so flagrant that when I first saw them, I thought, man, I can't believe they tried to get away with that. At the same time, since I wrote this story, I've been getting emails from people who say, hey, I've got a family, a relative who's at this agency, and this kind of thing is happening too. So I think that it would be fertile ground for Congress to look at conference expenditures across the federal government right now.
Yeah, I think it's the blatancy that really is very troubling. Thanks for joining us this morning. Certainly appreciate it. That's Jonathan Strong of Roll Call. You were going to say something else?
I was just going to say, you asked Jonathan a question, where does the blame eventually land? Does it land on the administration, the actual GSA administrators? But if Jonathan's right and he's getting emails about other agencies, we need to look at basically government in general and how efficient it can be.
Oh, that's what he's saying, yeah.
Well, it's not big government, it's good government. And, you know, Halliburton may have ripped off the Pentagon and taxpayers for a couple of billion in Iraq, but at least they didn't film it.
Still ahead this morning on Starting.